You cannot really restore a thoracic position in the presence of a pelvic dysfunction, because the pelvic dysfunction, being anterior or posterior, is going to drive which curve? The lumbar. And the attack angle of the top of the lumbar is going to drive which curve? The thoracic, and the thoracic is going to drive which curve? Okay. So from a sitting position, I'm going to teach you guys my favorite sitting technique I hope you can use when you train, and then also teach your people, is the Cogwheel theory of posture. So the Cogwheel theory of posture says the pelvis is a cogwheel, the rib is a cogwheel, the head is a cogwheel. And this cogwheel controls this cogwheel. Forget the middle. So if I roll my pelvis backwards, my head comes forwards. If I roll my pelvis forwards, my head comes backwards. My bottom cogwheel drives my top cogwheel. So I will tell you that not only are the idiots who design chairs fucking up your neck, they're also fucking up your back. And the reason that that's occurring is every ergonomics thing you ever see will say this should be at 90 degrees. That is bupkis, it is wrong, it is wrong, it is wrong. This should not be at 90 degrees. The hip only flexes to 120 degrees at its most. Most people do not have 120 degrees of hip flexion. To prove that to you, if you put your knees together, sit up as tall as you can, now try to lift your knee as high as you can without rolling your pelvis back. It's really hard to do. The first thing you want to do is roll your pelvis back. It's because the hip is at end range flexion about here. So if the hip is at end range flexion at 90 degrees, all of the posterior capsule and the posterior muscles are trying to pull your tush back, because that stuff's on tension. And this stuff is all jammed. So if I put myself at 90 degrees, my instinct is to relax my back muscles and sit on my ligaments. So why is 90 degrees correct? I think because it's a nice square number. And for no other reason. What's better is to get the thighs downsloped as far as you can when you're sitting. Because if you downslope the thighs, you roll the pelvis forward. If you roll the pelvis forward, you restore the lumbar lordosis. If you restore the lumbar lordosis, you restore the thoracic position, and you put the head back on the body. This cogwheel controls this cogwheel. I call this Patrick Ewing syndrome. When you sit on a chair designed for somebody 5'6" and you have long legs, if you ever remember Patrick Ewing back in the olden days sitting on the bench like this, because his legs were so long, his pelvis had to roll all the way back for him to sit in the chair. I'm only a couple inches shorter than Patrick Ewing. This is actually still too short for me because I'm not downsloped enough. Oh, thanks, Danny. That's correct. Do you see how tall I am? Now, I have a question for you. Where does my computer screen need to go? Way up here. Who has their computer screen way up here? Nobody. When you're training in the gym, never sit somebody on a bench that low. They should be sitting on a bench up here. I don't know why the bench is designed down there. Certainly not to do any sitting exercises. Right? Just lay down. Right? You got to be here. Downslope. Roll forward. Grab your butt meat. Pull it out. Now the butt meat's pushing you forward. Now look, I'm going to relax. Am I sitting up? No effort is required when I get this right. Now I can get my head over my body. And I don't really grab my butt meat. I tell people, overshoot the chair and slide forward into it. It actually traps your butt meat back.